Hi, I'm Gareth Green, and in this video we're going to be thinking about which might be the best chord progressions starting from chord 5 in major keys. But just in case anybody's not too sure about what all this stuff on the board means, let me quickly explain. We're going to do these examples in the key of C major, and the scale of C major goes like this: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We can number off those notes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then not number 8, but we're going back to number 1 because it's another C. Now, when we want to turn the notes of the scale into chords, we treat the given note, in this case the first note of the scale, as what we call the root. And we add above that note a third and a fifth. So 1, 2, 3, that's E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's G. So chord 1 is C, E, G. So if that follows for chord 1, well, chord 2 is based on the second degree of the scale, and we do the same thing again. A root, a third, and a fifth. There's chord 2. Chord 3, a root, a third, and a fifth. E, G, B. Chord 4, F, A, C. Chord 5, G, B, D. That's the one we're thinking about in this video. A, C, E is 6. B, D, F is 7. C, E, G brings us back to chord 1. And when we're talking about chords, we label them in Roman numerals so that we don't get numbers confused with fingering or a 3 that might mean a triplet in a rhythmic context. So Roman numerals for chords. So Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when I'm talking about chord progressions, I'm simply saying, well, if you were to use chord 5 in this case, what might be the best chords to go on after chord 5? Because lots of people are happy about finding chords, but then they're thinking, well, when I put chords together, how do I know which chords are going to sound best after any other given chord? That's what we're trying to explore here. So 19 possibilities for chord progressions starting with chord 5. I'm not claiming this to be entirely exhaustive. You might well come up with something that's not on the board. Fantastic, that's great. And as long as it works, go for it. What do I mean as long as it works? Basically, as long as it sounds good. And you might listen to some of these progressions and think, well, I'm not sure about that one, or this one sounds better than that one to me. That's fine. Or you might listen to one or two of them and think, I'm kind of used to that sound, but here's a sound that I've not heard so often, and you might quite like it. So hopefully it will confirm some of the progressions you might already be using, but it might also open up some new possibilities for you. So let's work through these. The first one I've got is simply chord 5 followed by chord 1, because that's a very standard cadence, something that often happens at the end of a phrase when you go 5, 1. So that's probably the most standard use of a chord 5 in a context of progression, 5 followed by 1. Option number 2 just takes that a step further and says, well, you can go 5, 1, but you could go back to 5. Okay, well, how would that work? Well, 5, 1, and back to 5. So sometimes people are kind of a bit guarded about doing that. I've just had 5, I've used 1, why would I want to come back to 5? But actually it works quite well. Lots of composers have done that kind of thing in their music. So 5 to 1 to 5. Okay, option 3, what about 5 to 1 to 2? So 5 to 1 to 2, slightly less familiar progression, but actually can be rather nice. And you can do all sorts of things beyond that. You wouldn't necessarily finish a phrase with that. I mean, you could do, but that would be less conventional use. But you could go from 5 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, for example. I mean, it could sit in a longer context. Option 4, 5 to 1 to 4. Well, 5 to 1 to 4. Works perfectly well. It could again have a context. 5 to 1 to 4 to 2 to 5. You know, it could roll on somewhere else. So that one sounds all right. Option 5 is going from 5 to 1 to 6. So 5 to 1 to 6. Sounds all right. Again, it might be one of those progressions that wants to follow on. So 5 to 1 to 6 to 5 to 1 would be another way of doing that. So sometimes you can get into a situation where you're going 5 1 5 1 and you think, oh, I just need another chord in between. Well, there's a good possibility, isn't it? To go 5 to 1 to 6 and then go 5 to 1 again. So you can use the 6 as a kind of center point there with 2 5 1s either side of it. That's a possibility anyway. Option 6, 5 to 2 to 3. Well, 5 to 2 to 3. 3 is one of those chords that lots of people shy away from, but actually that's got quite a nice kind of modal feeling to it, isn't it? 5 to 2 to 3. So that could be something a little bit different. Option number 7, 5 to 2 to 4. So 5 to 2 to 4. I mean, it's a perfectly reasonable progression. Again, it's another one that you might want to go on 5 to 1 or something might follow on from that very strongly. Option 8, 5 to 2 to 6. So 5 to 2 to 6. And again, you could follow on 5 to 2 to 6, 5 1. You don't always have to go 5 1 after these things, but quite often these things happen. You hear sounds like that and you think, I've definitely heard that sound before. Okay, option 9, 5 to 3 to 4, slightly less usual. 5 to 3 to 4. Quite a nice sound actually, isn't it? Option 10, 5 to 4 to 1. So 5 to 4 to 1. Now, there are textbooks out there that will say, oh, don't ever go from 5 to 4. But actually, why? Because doesn't that sound all right? 5 to 4 to 1. Sounds perfectly all right to me. The only danger of going 5 to 4 is that often you end up with parallels or consecutives. So if I go 5 to 4 like that, I get consecutive octaves, or what we call parallel octaves, and I also get parallel fifths, consecutive fifths. So if you've got the parts going in the same direction, you'll get those parallels or consecutives. But if you get contrary motion, so if I go 5 and I try to move the right hand notes up while the bass moves down, I don't have any of that trouble. And it sounds like quite a strong progression. Okay, option 11, 5 to 4, coming back to 5. So 5 to 4 to 5. So this thing where we might want to come back and reclaim the chord, having put something else in between. Again, it's another version of returning to 5 with something else in between. Option 12, 5 to 4 to 6. 5 to 4 to 6. Option 13 is just go straight from 5 to 6. That's a cadence. 5 to 6. So if you just want to use that as a cadence formula at the end of a phrase, it works perfectly well. Or you could use it earlier in the phrase. Option 14, what we're doing here is going from 5 to 6 to 1. So 5 to 6 to 1. It's not a cadence 6 to 1, but what's quite useful about the progression is that we have a common note. So if I go 5 to 6, C is in 6, but C is also in 1. So using that, what we call a common note, a note that belongs to this chord and to the next chord. And if you can put the common note in the same part, same voice, that's always a good way of binding things together. Okay, where are we now? Option 15, 5 to 6 to 2, 5 to 6 to 2. I think that's quite a nice progression as well. Option 16, where we're going from 5 to 6 to 3. 5, 6, 3. Works quite nicely. Option 17, 5 to 6 to 4. 5 to 6 to 4. You're not going to finish a phrase there, are you? But maybe 5 to 6 to 4, and then you go 5, 1. or 5 to 6 to 4, followed by 5, 6. It lends itself to a little extension, doesn't it? Option 18, 5 to 6 to 5. Well, again, it's this just putting a chord in between. 5 to 6 to 5. So that could work quite nicely. And the last one, going from 5 to 7B to 1. What do I mean by that little B? Well, A means root position, B means first inversion, C means second inversion. You might know that by a different system, but that's a very commonly used international system. Okay, let's think about this for a moment. Chord 7 is B, D, F. Chord 7 in a major key is a diminished chord, and it sounds slightly ugly if you use it in its root position, in other words with that B at the bottom. But if I use it in root position, I have to have B at the bottom. If I put the third of the chord at the bottom, that's D, it's what we call first inversion, that's what the B means. If I put F at the bottom, the fifth of the chord, it's now in a second inversion, so that would be a C. But we're going to use it as a first inversion chord because when you're using a diminished chord like 7 in a major key, it always sounds better in first inversion than that slightly ugly sound you get in root position. So this time I'm suggesting we go 5 and then 7B and then 1. I think that's quite a strong progression. 5, 7B, 1. So there we are. As I say, not exhaustive. There are plenty of other possibilities. But if you're using chord 5, which you will be using quite extensively if you're writing music, because it's the most important chord after chord 1, well, are you happy about all the possibilities of where can I go from 5? Or are we one of those musicians who always has chord 1 after chord 5? Lots of people do that. Well, there are other things that you can do. Even if you do go to 1 after 5, well, where are you going to go next? So it's worth exploring these options. So one of these chords that you're likely to be using quite a lot, you've got a really extensive vocabulary of possible harmonic progressions. So I hope that's useful. And if you found this video helpful, you might want to go to www.mmcourses.co.uk, where you'll find details of our online courses. We've got lots of videos on YouTube, and they're all kind of one-offs, which I hope you find helpful. But if you're looking for a structured course that's going A to Z in theory or oral training or analysis or writing Bach chorales or whatever you want to do, that's the purpose of our online courses. So you might want to have a look at what's on offer there. While you're on the homepage, you might just click on Maestros as well to find out what Music Matters Maestros is all about. It's a great way to support our channel, lots of benefits, emojis, loyalty badges, all this kind of stuff, behind the scenes content. And also, if you want to join as a level 2 or level 3 member, you'll have access to our monthly live streams where we're injecting a kind of huge teaching input every month, and lots of people are enjoying receiving that. And we're also providing an opportunity for musicians, composers, performers, whatever, people doing harmony exercises, where you can submit your work and get personal feedback. And that's feedback that we share as a group, so everybody learns from everybody else in a very supportive community. So Maestro is a very exciting aspect of the work we do that I absolutely look forward to every month, that you might want to come and join. Anyway, it's all there, www.mmcourses.co.uk.